What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 49 and we start today's episode off with a game against Watford here at Vicarage Road. So Watford, one of the newly promoted sides to the Barclays Premier League, and I thought, to be honest, this is our second season in the league, and on career mode you always want to progress the following season. You don't want to start to stutter and sort of stay at the same level, or possibly going down, of course, would be the worst thing ever, really, for us. But 5 games in, 3 wins and 2 draws, and we currently sit in 4th place. So we've had a really good start to the season, and we take on Watford, a side that's just been promoted. We want to sort of show them how tough this division can be. We really want to show them that if you come up, you've got to do well. But it was Watford who would have the first chance in this game, and they'd also get the first goal too. The ball got played through by Josh McEachran there, lovely pass and a simple finish into the bottom corner, and Watford took the lead just 9 minutes in. Fabrini got it, and sadly Alan McGregor could not get to the ball as it went into the bottom corner, and that was a really frustrating goal to concede there, because again, the pass by Josh McEachran was quite routine, and it was a first time ball where Gutierrez sort of closed him down, and Fabricio didn't really stick tight enough to Fabrini. It was a good finish, take nothing away from it, but really that goal could have been prevented and probably should have been as well. But straight from kickoff, we tried to hit back instantly. Seb Larsson gave the ball out wide to Brian Carrasco. Carrasco gets past his man, gets onto his right foot, and I should have played a through ball there. The shot was easily saved really by the keeper, but Danny Ings was running through, and I didn't notice the run until I took the shot, and as soon as Carrasco let fly, I was like, oh god, no, if I only would have pressed triangle there, Danny Ings would have been in to surely make it 1-1. But Kelvin almost scored a spectacular goal in the 19th minute. Larsson played a lovely ball inside, but Kelvin's bicycle kick from just outside the area went wide of the goalkeeper, who kind of got caught in no man's land there. I could have afforded to take a touch and then finish it, but I tried to be flashing, it didn't work. But in the 59th minute here, Watford cross a free kick in, and sadly they go ahead and make it 2-0 with just over half an hour to play. The cross came in, it was a free volley for the Watford player, and McGregor actually stopped the ball, but sadly it just sort of got caught underneath his body and sort of just stopped basically in the rain, and as you can see there, it went straight into his path, and it was a simple finish. That was so frustrating. But the most frustrating thing happened here. Now, I wanted to make my second substitution of the game, as I just brought on Dongu, and I noticed I was missing 2 substitutes on my bench, and I brought on Stanislas for Jack Robinson there, and I noticed that I was missing 2 subs. Michael Ngu and Chavez were no longer on the bench. You can see here, I went back into it just to make sure, but no, there was only 4 subs on the bench. Nyland Beavers, Kane, and of course Robinson, who was about to get subbed off for Stanislas. And I thought maybe it's a bug, maybe the next time I'll pause the game and made the substitution, and Gu and Chavez will come back. So I wanted to bring on Michael and Gu. So again, after the Stanislas substitution happened, and we'd made 2 subs, I was now only down to 3 subs left on my bench. Nyland Beavers and Kane. Chavez and Ngu, they've just wandered off. They're no longer on my bench. I've only got Nyland Beavers and Kane, and they're all defensive players. And I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous, because we did lose the game 2-0. It's our first defeat of the season, which sucks. But I wanted to bring on Ngu, and he wasn't there. Chavez wasn't there either. They must have gone for a cigarette around the back of the stadium. It was ridiculous. Can you imagine if that happened in real life? I just sort of like turned around to the dugout, and I'm missing 2 players. And I'm like, just asking my assistant manager, oh, what's happened to Ngu and Chavez? Where they gone? And he's just sitting there going, don't know, mate. And then Ngu has the cheek to us after the game to say, I'm really enjoying my football at the moment, and I was a bit concerned that the team sheet has me on the bench, and I was like, what's the point in putting you on the bench anyway if you're not going to sit there? So that was ridiculous. It's the first time I've ever noticed that bug. I lost 2 substitutes during the game. It was ridiculous. So I was really frustrated by that, because of course, like, I'm not going to lie, we probably would have lost the game anyway, but it was ridiculous to think that 2 of my subs just wandered off. So yeah, that was really frustrating, but it was our first defeat of the season away at Vicarage Road, and a very disappointing one as well, because to be honest, like, we shouldn't be losing that game. No disrespect to Watford, but one of the newly promoted sides, arguably going to be the weakest side in the division. We should be winning that game, especially with our impressive start to the season. But sadly, we did lose, and we just have to take that one on the chin. But we took on Rosenborg for the following game here, and I was looking to get back to winning ways to make sure that slip-up would not be at the start of a bad run of form. And the first chance really came in injury time in the first half, and it was the 2 substitutes that wandered off in the last game. Chavez and Ngu linking up there. Chavez this cross in, was met by the head of Michael Ngoo, but was a simple save. But a few minutes after that, the cross comes in, and again Ngoo goes for a header, but sadly hits the bar and is then cleared off the line, and Liam Trotter's follow-up header goes into Hansen's hands. So still Millwall 0, Rosenborg 0. We did have the first early chances in the first half, but in the 57th minute, Stanislas comes through here down the left-hand side, takes on the fullback, beats him for pace, and well, I honestly thought I was about to get a penalty there. He seemed to get barged over in the box, but the referee said nothing, and it was still 0-0, so I could not believe that. That should have been a penalty in my book. But very frustrating in the 74th minute here. Camigliano, a player who I brought off the bench in this game, ends up going for a volley and ends up getting taken down. It was a definite injury there, but no, sadly it was an injury to Camigliano. He sprains his ankle, and we changed the formation, but yeah, Camigliano does have to get subbed off, and thankfully all of my subs in this game were available to use, because I didn't want to carry on with 10 men for the rest of the game. But yeah, we brought on Carrasco for Camigliano, and we'd try and make sure that we could try and get the winner in this game, as the game was being closed out. It was a nasty injury to Camigliano. He could have got sent off for that high foot as well, but thankfully he didn't. He did get injured, but yeah, the game did finish 0-0, so again we failed to score any goals. Very, very frustrating. The game kind of just sort of fizzled out in the middle of the park, really. Other than the Michael Ngoo header which hit the bar in the first half, there was no clear-cut chances for either side, and the game did finish 0-0. So 2 Europa League games in and 2 draws, which is not very happy, not good for us at all, because our following game is away in France to take on the strongest side of the group, Marseille. But our scout comes back to us here and gives us 3 youth players to look at. One of them looked okay. We'll think about signing them in the next update. Of course, you get a better look at the players and how good they actually are as the months go by. So we'll wait and see what happens in the next scouting month. And Michael Ngoo says thanks for playing in the last game, and I was like, no problem, but never wander off from the bench again, because that was just ridiculous. But here's the squad report as well. We're now into October, so here is a squad report. A reminder, the squad report and the league table is shown at the start of every single calendar month, and yeah, we're taking a look at the players and looking at where we could possibly be improving in January, because of course we do still have £1 million on our budget at the moment. £1 million plus about 30 grand on the wage budget, I'm not sure. So yeah, we could possibly pick up a new player in January, or most likely what I'll probably look to do is, as per usual, is look to find some good players on pre-contracts for next year. I just think that's so much more beneficial when you don't have a bigger budget. It's better than just signing what probably will be a squad player, do you know what I mean? It's better to look for the pre-contracts. And spend the money just on the wages really for next season. But yeah, that was the squad report, and here is a look at the league table as well. 6 games in, we sit in 5th place, 3 wins, 2 draws and a loss, 12 goals, 8 conceded, 4 on the goal difference, and of course 11 points. So not bad at all. Pretty decent start to win half of our games in the early start to the season. So yeah, pretty pleased with that, to be honest. I know that we could be doing better, and we shouldn't have lost in the game against Watford, but we did. And yeah, I mean, if the season was to end now, we finished 5th place, I'll be over the moon. I'll be absolutely delighted. But you know, we probably will tail away very soon, to be honest, because you know, good season form at the start is always nice, but you know, especially for a club like us, we shouldn't really be competing for a Europa League spot. We don't really have the squad for it just yet. Maybe next year if we bring in a couple of good players next summer, and maybe 1 or 2 on pre-contracts in January. But for the time being, you know, to be in 5th place is just, you know, fantastic really, and we shouldn't really be sitting there thinking that's a realistic aim. We should just enjoy it whilst it's here, I guess is the right thing to say. But anyway, for the last game of the episode, we do take on Swansea City here at the Den, and the first chance came in the 7th minute. Danny Ings took the ball past Kyle Bartley here, got into his left foot, rolled the ball through to Brian Carrasco, and sadly Cassio made a brilliant save. I thought Carrasco was surely going to score there, but sadly the winger from Chile couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, so still 0-0. But he sees Danny Ings onto the ball again, skips past Kyle Bartley once again and shoots, but sadly this time Cassio once again makes the save to deny us. So it's still 0-0, but in the 43rd minute again, we're down the right hand side. It's Kelvin who beats Pablo Hernandez for pace. He keeps on going, eventually tries to cross the ball in towards Danny Ings, is headed up in the air, comes to Seb Larson, who controls it brilliantly and shoots, but Cassio pulls off the save. So sadly Cassio is making a couple of really good saves in this game, and from the corner Larson crossed the ball in towards Liam Trotter. It's headed up in the air, Carrasco gets onto it, gives the ball to João Vitor, who shoots, and he hits the bar. So we had so many shots on Swansea's goal, we just couldn't find the back of the net. But in the second half, as the game looked as though it was going to finish 0-0, Carrasco gets past his man, plays a good through ball into Danny Ings, and finally the resistance it pays off there. Persistence pays off there. Danny Ings gets played through, and it's a great finish as well from the former Burnley man. Real good strike into the back of the net. No chance for Cassio this time. He must have been gutted as well because he was playing so well in this game. But with just over 12 minutes to go, Danny Ings' strike finds the back of the net, and that makes it Millwall 1, Swansea 0. So I think that brings up his 6th goal in the Barclays Premier League this season. So he's off to a fantastic start, man. That's 7 games and 5 goals in Barclays Premier League, but still, that's a fantastic return, isn't it? For our £3 million plus Kim Ojo signing, that's a brilliant start to his Millwall career. 5 goals in 7 games. But in the 86th minute here, Danny Ings is onto the ball, gets past 1, then gets past 2. His pace is just electric. He goes through 1-on with Cassio. He rounds the goalkeeper and chips the ball into the empty net. So what a superb solo goal by Danny Ings. I'm so glad I chose to sign him ahead of Andy Carroll, because we probably could have signed Carroll at the end of the day if we sold on 1 or 2 players and adjusted our budget. But I'm so glad I did decide to give Ings a chance, because I wasn't sure he's going to be good enough for the Premier League. Of course, Carroll would be, but I wasn't sure he'd be good enough for us. But it's a good thing I gave him the chance, because he's performing brilliantly. Fantastic start to the season Danny Ings is having. That brought up his 2nd goal in the game, and that made it Millwall 2, Swansea 0. And in injury time here, a chance for Swansea to get themselves back in the game. Leon Britton got played through, basically had a last chance though. He rolls the ball through, and Donnelly puts the ball wide. It's an absolute sitter. But the game does finish Millwall 2, Swansea 0. So great to get back to winning ways. And I was very happy with the win, and very happy with Danny Ings' contribution in that game as well. And as always, guys, big thank you for watching today's video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please consider leaving a like. That's much appreciated, and it really does help my channel out. And I will see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.